Angela Simmons, are you telling me right now you're in your single girl era again?
Yeah, I'm telling you that.
Yo Gotti might be in the hot seat next. Word is, the feds are lining up a quiet but deadly indictment against him for Young Dolph's murder. The whispers aren't just coming from random gossip. The biggest smoke is rising straight out of the courtroom, where Hernandez Govan's trial is about to flip Memphis upside down. People are saying Govan already spilled the beans, possibly pointing straight at Yo Gotti and his own brother, Big Jook. And then, out of nowhere, Big Jook ends up dead right after those rumors hit the streets. So now folks are asking, did Big Jook take the fall to protect Gotti? Let's be real. Gotti had everything going too smooth to risk losing it all. He had his dream girl, Angela Simmons. CMG was on fire, and his artists were running the charts. You telling me he'd throw all that away over an old beef? Or did he make some quiet moves to make sure certain loose ends were tied up for good? That's why this upcoming trial is about to be crazy. After getting delayed more times than a rapper's Dropping Soon mixtape, Govan's trial is finally locked in for August 18th, 2025, just days away. And don't get it twisted, Govan ain't no small-time player. He's facing first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder for allegedly masterminding the hit on Dolph back in 2021. But here's where it gets even more suspicious. The whole case is partially sealed. On July 29th, Judge Jennifer Mitchell put all the motions and rulings on lockdown. No public access, no details, nothing. That's not normal for a high-profile murder case involving one of Memphis's most beloved rappers. When courtrooms go dark like that, it's usually because deals are being cut or names are being kept safe. Every co-defendant in this case seems to be catching breaks. Bonds granted, even reinstated after breaking the rules. Except for cats like Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith, who are still rotting in jail, fighting for scraps of hope. People close to the situation swear this ain't just courtroom politics. They believe this screams cooperation. They're saying Govan might have already handed the feds exactly what they wanted. Maybe even dropped bombs on names like Big Jook or Yo Gotti himself. And look at the timing. Sealed documents. Bond magically reinstated. Trial set to kick off with the key witness strolling free like he's untouchable. That's not just strange. That's chess-level strategy. This trial is about to reopen the Dolph murder case in a way we haven't seen since 2021. And if Yo Gotti's name gets thrown out in that courtroom, it could trigger the biggest collapse Memphis rap has ever seen. Here's where it all starts pointing one way: dead at Yo Gotti. This isn't just wild speculation. Prosecutors have already claimed in court that Big Jook put up $100,000 to make Young Dolph disappear. Word is, Hernandez Govan was the middleman, the guy who connected the shooters to the cash and the target. If that's true, Govan was playing chess while Big Jook moved the pieces, and CMG might have been the game board the whole time. But here's the crazy twist. When the hit went down in 2021, the two alleged shooters expected that full $100,000. Instead, they walked away with maybe $800 to $1,500 each. And it came from Jook, not directly from Gotti. Big Jook's murder in January 2024 sent shockwaves through Memphis. And the timing? Straight up suspicious. Less than a year before Govan's trial, with whispers already spreading that Govan might flip, Jook ends up dead. Some folks swear it was Dolph's people striking back, but others are convinced it was a calculated cleanup, taking Jook off the board before he could be flipped into evidence against bigger names. And when you connect the dots, Govan's sealed trial, his bond magically in place, and Yo Gotti staying completely silent about his own brother's death, that quiet starts to sound more like a carefully planned strategy. On the surface, Gotti's been playing it cool. Smiling at award shows, signing new deals, showing off his Angela Simmons relationship. But behind the scenes, the talk is he's been locking down CMG like a fortress, bracing for a storm that's coming fast. Because if Govan walks into that courtroom and starts calling names, the next target in the crosshairs is Yo Gotti himself. And here's why his name won't stop coming up. The one man who could have taken the fall for him is already in the ground. Jook wasn't just Gotti's brother. He was his money man, his logistics boss, and the direct link between CMG and the shooters who allegedly took out Dolph. Jook's death hit Memphis like a silent explosion. No suspects, no arrests, nothing. Just a high-ranking street figure gunned down outside a restaurant hours after burying a relative. To anyone paying attention, this wasn't random. It was personal, targeted, and executed clean. Shot down right after a family funeral in a quiet enough setting to make the hit look effortless. Whether or not Big Jook was actually about to flip, The fact people thought he could was enough to put a target on his back. And what poured gasoline on the rumors was Yo Gotti's silence afterward. Not a word, not a post, nothing. That quiet spoke louder than any press release ever could. Because if Jook had really been acting solo, or if his death had nothing to do with CMG, you'd expect Gotti to speak up. But he didn't. So now the talk in Memphis is, was this a cover-up? Not just street revenge, but a final move to keep Gotti's name out of the paperwork. With federal eyes locked in and the Dolph case opening back up, it's not hard to imagine removing Jook might have bought Gotti some breathing room and time to get his legal strategy airtight. But losing Jook? That was just the first domino to fall. The next hit came to Gotti's personal life. Not long after his brother's death, Angela Simmons didn't slam the door on him. She just slipped away, quiet and respectful, but gone. Then she popped up on Angie Martinez's show and dropped the news herself. She and Gotti were officially over. No screaming, no shade, just polite phrases like all love and it was my choice. But anyone paying attention could feel the tension under every word. Her reasoning? She said she was in a growing and healing season. But the timing couldn't be ignored. Her exit landed just weeks before one of the biggest legal showdowns of Gotti's career. And in this industry, timing is everything. If things go bad for Yo Gotti, the headlines won't just crush him. They'll stain everyone standing anywhere near his name. That's why Angela's decision to dip when she did doesn't feel like heartbreak. It feels like strategy, a clean, quiet exit from the blast zone before the explosion hits. And now, with Angela gone, Gotti's looking more isolated than ever. No brother, no ride or die, just pressure, heat, and a trial breathing down his neck. But Angela ain't the only one who vanished from his circle. Black Youngsta did too. You don't need TMZ to tell you something's off. Just scroll through his Instagram. The same guy who once went viral for flashing stacks, clowning rivals, and turning every post into a movie is now dead silent. For a man who built his image on being loud, even publicly talking slick about taking out Dolph, this sudden disappearance is more than strange. It's unsettling. By 2025, Black Youngsta's presence has nearly evaporated, and fans are asking questions. Industry insiders are asking too. Some whisper he's laying low on Gotti's orders, trying to stay out of sight while the Govan trial creeps closer. Others think it's way deeper. Maybe he's under legal restrictions. Or worse, already in custody. And it's not just him. The whole CMG camp feels different. The energy shifted. The loud shout-outs of Yo Gotti aren't echoing like before. The branding's gone cleaner, safer, almost neutral. Like they're scrubbing the edges on purpose. Black Youngsta's silence hits even harder when you remember his history with Dolph. These two traded tension, disrespect, and straight-up shots for years. If anyone was gonna talk, it would have been him. But now, nothing. Whether it's loyalty, fear, or pure legal strategy, nobody knows for sure. But the timing matches perfectly with everything else swirling around CMG right now. At this point, the moves around CMG don't look random. They look calculated, like pieces being shifted in a bigger game. And if you've been watching how the feds operate, you know exactly how the playbook works. They start at the bottom and climb their way up. First the shooters, then the middleman, then the money guy. And once the structure is exposed and loyalties start cracking, the last stop is always the boss. Right now, Yo Gotti is starting to look like that end target. We've already seen the first stages. Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith. One of them reportedly flipped and gave up major details about the promised payout and who gave the orders. That's the kind of federal leverage that can turn a life sentence into a get-out deal. Now all eyes are on Hernandez Govan. If he's cooperating, the next question is simple. Who funded, planned, and greenlit the hit on Dolph? And if Govan's turned over text messages, Cash App receipts, or anything that traces money back to CMG leadership, that's not just bad news. That's RICO territory. Because once the feds can prove the hit was organized, financed, and executed through a structured crew, it stops being rap beef and becomes a criminal enterprise. And that kind of case doesn't just take down rappers, it takes down entire teams. What began as a tragedy is now cracking open like a blueprint for a full-blown criminal operation. And prosecutors are peeling it apart piece by piece. If they can connect the dots, this stops being a local Memphis case and flips into a RICO indictment, targeting an entire structured network from the shooters all the way to the top execs. And if it gets that far, Yo Gotti's name won't just come up, it'll be printed in bold. An indictment like that would shake the Memphis rap scene to its core. There's no paperwork yet, but Gotti's moves are already looking like a man bracing for it. The once flashy face of Memphis, who lived on red carpets and lit up Rolling Loud stages, is now moving like a ghost. That kind of disappearance doesn't happen for no reason. That's legal survival mode. His inner circle, already falling apart. Jook was executed in broad daylight right as whispers about cooperation started heating up. Black Youngsta vanished without a trace. And Angela Simmons walked out just weeks before Govan's trial date was locked in. These aren't random exits, and they feel like fallout. The danger for Gotti is crystal clear. Cornelius has already testified that Big Jook promised $100,000 to have Dolph taken out. Prosecutors say Govan was the go-between, but that promise payout was never fully delivered. And here's where it gets critical. In the streets, a broken promise can turn into a broken silence. Right now, Govan is the only person in this whole case who isn't dead or sitting in a cell. The murder, that's all the feds need. This trial isn't just about what happens in front of the jury. The real danger is in the sealed filings we can't see. Prosecutors don't hide cases to protect the guilty. They seal them to protect evidence they're still using. And right now, the fact that Govan's pretrial motions are locked away from the public screams one thing: someone else is still under investigation. And here's where it gets even heavier. The word RICO. Federal prosecutors have been building RICO cases against music crews for decades. Death Row, BMF, YSL. We've seen this movie before. What starts as a single murder often gets stretched into a blueprint for an entire criminal enterprise. And CMG, it checks every box. Official business structures, paper trails of money movement, documented beefs, and direct links to violent incidents. The Dolph murder isn't being treated like some rap beef gone too far. It's being framed as a contract hit with organized structure. And that's exactly what opens the door for a federal RICO case. In that world, Gotti doesn't need to fire a shot or send a single text. He just has to be proven as the man who knew the plan and let his network carry it out. If that happens, Gotti's not just facing a fall from grace. We're talking about the collapse of one of the most powerful camps in Southern hip-hop history. And watching how the pieces are moving right now, it's already in motion. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay locked, because this storm, it's just getting started.